So hello everybody, I hope you're all well. Welcome to the new webinar brought to you by BenQ. We have a very interesting topic, I think. It's very ambitious. It's how to set some principles to help you start the career or continue a career or to learn about art. Of course, everything you will hear here is from my point of view. It's based on my experience. Many of you know me as an artist, so many works that you will see here will be familiar to you. So a few words about me. My name is Adam Martinakis. I am half Greek, half Polish. I was born in Poland in 1972. And after 10 years, I moved with my family to Greece. And this movement has shaped me a lot because coming from a totally different culture from the north of Europe and going to the south, which also had a very different political system at the time. Poland was a communistic country and Greece was a Western country. I always liked art. I always liked many things. I didn't know that I would become an artist. This actually happened during the years. I studied interior design, industrial design. I studied decorative arts, but I never felt, although I worked in those fields, I never felt that that was what I was really looking for. And so I experimented with many things inside the field of visual arts. So when I was studying, when I was in the academy of studying interior design, there was the coming of the computer graphics, and I saw a lot of students showing and presenting their works through 3D, digital 3D. That was before the millennium, and not many people used to do those things, and it was strange. I was at the beginning, very negative about the usage of computers in the terms of arts, because I felt it was a very cold medium. It couldn't project what an artist has got inside him, the feelings. But slowly understood that this medium has come to stay, and I started to learn those programs. I started to learn even how to operate the computer. I didn't know how to operate the computer at the time. So when I started all this, and slowly when I got a little deeper into this, I realized that the possibilities are really, really endless, especially in the terms of 3D, because actually when you get into digital arts in general, there are many softwares and many different ways of creating something. There is 2D, as many of you know, like editing photographs with Photoshop. There are great webinars brought to you by BenQ that I've seen that are really nice on different technique on how can you develop specific ideas in this field. And there is also the 3D, which I started to learn as my main medium. And at that time, it was mainly to present my interior design works that I was working at the time. So 3D has great abilities in showing photorealistic scenes. Of course, it's a medium which evolves all the time, and we are talking now about 20 years ago. And I realized that the potential are endless. So the medium itself guided me, and I started to do new things. I started to create art. I started to create works which did not actually have any function. I just did them for myself, which many artists do actually. And by creating this, I started to experiment with several techniques. 3D, as I said, is really rich in techniques that you can combine, that you can work on, and it's really creative. So at some point, I started to work as an architecture visualizer. So this is creating in 3D and in a photorealistic mode scenes of architecture, which will be very much, very much realistic to the viewer before the actual building will be built. So it's also cheap, it's also good for the designer, it's also good for the client. So I worked some years into this, but parallelly to this, I created artworks, and in 2009, I won an international competition in Luxembourg, and from then I start to believe that my career has become more uh, international. Sorry, and I felt that the doors are opening now, and sometimes we need um, a push from somewhere, and this is what was a push for me. It was psychological push. I felt more confident about it. Those things help actually. And from then I said that I'll become only an artist. I will create only works of art, and I'll see what I will do with them. Normally, when you are a painter, you paint and you go to a gallery and you present your works, and somebody buys it or not. And at the same time, because it's not easy to live from painting only and selling, I might do other things like teaching, which I did in many different institutions, and continue to work and experiment. So I have actually worked in many different types of visual arts. I will describe them in a later point, but I have worked in interior design, I have worked in industrial design, decorative arts, I have worked in architectural visualizations, I've worked as a graphic designer, ceramic designer. I thought at some point I was working with ceramics and with 3D, and that was strange for me because I thought that I'm working with one of the oldest mediums, artistic mediums that exist, ceramic, and also with one of the newest, which was the 3D. So I continued to work, and things began to grow. I had created an audience slowly, and I created this work, the one that you see that many of you probably know, and uh, it's it's a it's a thing. Sorry. And by the years, I have become more famous in a way that many works of mine used as covers. So that was very good for me. I started to support myself only with art, which is, I think, the best. And I guess many of you are starting to think, and this is the question actually, how to become an artist that you can support yourself. So to address the topic today, it's really important to understand that to understand the question itself, how to become visual artist. What is art actually? So from a definition that I found on the internet, because it's not easy to define actually art, it's got very many subjective things inside and objective. And one definition is that art is a diverse range of human activities in creating visual, auditory, or performing artifacts, artworks, expressing the author's imaginative, conceptual ideas or technical skills, intended to be appreciated primarily by their beauty or emotional power. So this is subjective, let's say, a definition, and many can disagree to this. I think that the modern critics will not totally take it literally like this, but this is more or less what it is art. For me, art is actually a, a communication tool. So it's, first of all, it's a tool. So it's not the actual thing. And what is the actual thing? The actual thing is communication. And it's a special place we have, a special thing we have, very rich one with very rich in mediums, that we can express ideas, we can do so many things, we can get closer to people, we can support ourselves with this also, we can do so many things. And for me, the problem, it's not a problem, it's its nature actually. It's that art has got a dual nature. It's got a personal state, and it's got a universal state. The personal state actually is when the artist is working, is creating, and everything that comes before it, like, I mean, the ideas, the inspirations, and everything that he will work with and work on. And this period, the personal that I call it, it's also a form of communication, but at that time you communicate with yourself, with your experiences. And by the way, you know, being an artist, you're always an artist. When you sleep, you are an artist. You are anytime you're an artist, because you never know an idea that comes to you, even in your dreams. There are many artists which work with their dreams, and it's also a place, a time where you work with yourself. I strongly believe that artist is not actually a profession. You may make money from it or not. Well, it's not that easy, I have to tell you from the beginning, but you can make it. And there are many ways now, but I will discuss it later. So the personal part is where you work with yourself actually, and with your theme. So it's your ideas, your thing, the way that you see things, the way that you see life actually, because, you know, nature of life is actually very much dependent, nature of art, sorry, it's very much dependent on life. It's an extension, it's a parallel world, it's a projection of life. So in this this is a very important part, but it's a part for the artist actually. And the next state is the one that I call universal. It's a state where the artwork is finished actually. So when the artwork is finished, then the artwork has got its own life. It goes to galleries, it goes to your media, to your website, and it's ready to be sold or just to be seen, whatever you choose to do with it. And this is the communication that an artist has got with the rest of the world, with the audience. And the audience is really important for the artist, because without the audience there'll be actually no art. And think about it, if somebody is alone in an island and is stuck there, knowing that no one else will ever come to him, of course I will forget the depression for being totally alone. But let's take this as a story. Would he ever create art? I don't know. I'm not sure. Probably he will try to satisfy his survival mode. But if he wants to communicate with others, art is one of the possibilities for communication. And here are some works from an exhibition. You will see more later on. I will also explain you how they are created, the final output. And those two states, the personal and universal, is kind of duality that I also use in my works a lot. So when you see two persons, for example, It doesn't matter the sex. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, because I use them as the symbols. It's because I see duality almost everywhere. When there's a meaning of something, when there is something occurs in my life, there's like always there's something that is opposing it or going close to it as a second thing. I think it's for the balance of things. I think that things are balanced when there are two different powers which come together and they try to balance. So here's an invitation card from an exhibition I had in 2015, I think, and the exhibition itself. I have had many exhibitions around the world, and it's a unique experience for an artist. It's a unique experience for communication also. So this is a very inspirational guy. I use science and many of his ideas also in my work. So look, Einstein is saying genius 1% talent and 99% hard work. And I believe that this is true. So talent is also a vague thing. We don't really know what it is. We think that somebody is born with the ability to beautifully draw a perfect, realistic person. It's not the case. This is work. This is experimenting. This is everyday, being with this thing. It's mainly work. And if I could give only one answer to this question, let's say how to become an artist is actually work. But I think you already knew that. But if you don't work, so and you don't have to work 8 days per hour. You can, because I told you, you're an artist all the time. You can work half an hour, but you need to get your mediums, that the medium that you have chosen. Either it is a painting, either it's a sculpture, either it's digital art, it's Photoshop, editing images, anything, and try to focus and press your mind into this, because our mind is something that actually the more we are used to work with something, then it becomes more familiar and comes with new ideas and new ideas. I have so many ideas because I force my mind to think of terms of ideas and concepts. So I see a tree and I see dualities or other things also. It's not only dualities. Another very important thing for me to become an artist and to understand art is to understand its history of art. The history of art is actually a history of human creation. It's the most beautiful history. I love history of art, and it's very inspirational. I think it can help you very much for your works. In-depth study of arts. And look, this is a cave painting of a horse in Lascaux caves in 16,000 before our era. It's very old. And humans had the need to project, to depict things that they see every day, like horse, I guess, and some other elements that we can understand a little from their lives at that time, which is very old. It's 16,000. This is the book that I propose you. At the end, I'll be proposing you things in general, but at the end I'll have a bibliography about those, so you can write at the end if you want. So this is the history of what I like the most. It has influenced me also. It's got its part in my story, and this history from Gombrich. It starts with this quote: "There really is no such thing as art. There are only artists." It's an interesting point of view, but it also it is directing to the point that art is personal, that I told you before, but not only, I think. So we can see, for example, we can see here a statue, a Venus of Wilderfold, which is even older than the cave painting that I showed you before. This is 24,000 years before Christ. It's a long time before. And if you look at the form, you can, if you're familiar with contemporary galleries and sculpture, you can see forms like this existing in a contemporary galleries. For me, this is an indication that many artists take inspiration from the past, from artists from the past. And this is a kind of dialogue, actually. It's a dialogue between the past and the future. So this is the power, actually, of art. This is extraordinary thing. And this dialogue has been always been. You cannot actually create something from nothing. So you always take inspiration from something else. Some artists say that you can steal from others. You can do it as long as you make it your own. You change forms into your own style. This is another sculpture, an old sculpture. This is from around 4,000 years ago from Greece, Cycladic art. This is also a very familiar form of modern art, but this is very old. It's another kind of dialogue, example of dialogue. This is actually a fresco from the Minoan civilization who flourished in Crete, in the island of Crete, where actually I live now. I live for years now in the island of Crete, in a small village. And I see traces of the civilization, especially where I live now. And it was a very remarkable civilization. I was, every day that I have walked with my dog there, I try to imagine how they lived, how it was a very peaceful civilization. They art, which is actually our information that we have about them. We don't have we don't have many writings at the time because we have not deciphered Linear A language which they used, but there's not much evidence of this language. So we have art. We can see several things of their lives. For example, here is a bull leaping. It's a game that they had. It's quite dangerous. It was like a bull was coming and somebody was leaping over this bull. It sounds dangerous to me. This is a classical Greek sculpture. And you know, art, as we call it, it didn't always have the same meaning. So except from the personal view of every artist, what art is, and it's good if you ask yourself what art is for me. And you try to give your honest answer, and always try to be honest with your work. It's very crucial, I think. We can see it's kind of religious art, actually, because it's Hermes and Dion's, their gods. And religion was used a lot in the arts during the centuries. This is a Byzantine mosaic from Hagia Sophia. It's 9th century. And art has been used as a tool for praying gods, for communicating religion, for politics also. And by the years, we can see also the evolution of art itself. You can see how in the Renaissance, this is Frangelico, and you can see the first attempts of real perspective in the art. And by real, I say they have found a way to create perspective as it really is, as we see it, in a more scientific way, with lines and several aspects of it. And as it slowly, the evolution of art has brought us in the 17th century in Holland, where actually the artist there has shaped the form that the artists exist now, in the way that they stopped taking commissions that were happening before from rich people making portraits, like many famous we know, like Mona Lisa, or religious ones that were commissioned from the church. And they started to create everyday paintings of simple things like this, and later they went on and selling them to the people who like to buy. So, and we come closer to our era. This is Van Gogh. Van Gogh was saying, "I dream my painting and I paint my dream." I like the quotes of artists very much, and you will see a lot of them. It's one of my passions to read biographies and read quotes. This is the point where art starting to come to a modern era. It's Cézanne. The form starts to break a little. It's not, the faithfully depicted form of somebody or a building or of nature. We start to see breaks, and we see it more later with Picasso and many, of course, others, but Picasso probably is the most famous one. And then we go also to artists like Dali and Surrealism, which they also added, Dali actually added the point of view, the philosophy of Freud inside. Like there is psychology inside of artworks, and also the concept of dreams, what it means, etc., etc. This is Jackson Pollock. This is a very interesting artist to me, and you'll see his film if you want. It's for me. It's when I run out not of ideas, because I somehow don't run out of ideas, but sometimes I run out of energy to create, and the will to create, which is really important. And this is something that it must be worked, so that you push yourself to work. And we come to this modern area. You probably are familiar with this work. It was last year shown in Miami in Art Basel, and it created some fuss because of the. Is this art? Well, it is conceptual art, and it's created by Catalan, who is a very famous person in the world of art, and it is now, I think, sent to MoMA now. Of course, not the banana. It's the certificate that is actually sold, and this work sold for 120,000 dollars. The first edition. I think there are three. The second one 150, I think. It is art, and if this person and this artist believe it's art, and if this happened in Art Basel by a very established gallery called Perotin, it's art. So either you don't like it or I don't like it, doesn't really matter. And I'll tell you, because it's interesting this. So it's catchy. It's called Comedian. So it's important title also. Uh, this guy, the Catalan, he in 2016 he replaced a toilet at the Guggenheim with a fully functional gold one. So he's an absurdist in a way. So I will not extend more to what artists, but we will try to see now the divisions of visual art. We're coming to visual arts now. And visual art is forms of art like painting, that you see here, like drawing, sculpture, ceramic design, photography, video. And you see at the beginning, there was also a narrow inclusion of types like painting, sculpture, and drawing, maybe. But by the time it's wider and wider, it includes more and more creative mediums. For example, 20 years ago, there was no 3D, digital 3D that I do. It's now inside the visual arts. It's printmaking, which what I do actually is closer to this. It's architecture, of course. It's graphic design, so also industrial design. It's fashion design. It's interior designs, decorative art. And there are other artistic disciplines as performing arts. So there's also an important thing that you can look on the internet, because we don't have much time here to develop many things. In fact, every chapter that I talk about could be not a seminar, it could be a subject in the university for the whole semester or two. So I'm just trying to show you my personal view, what is important. This is if you would like to read about a theory of art, there's a very important philosopher, Martin Heidegger. He in this book, The Origin of the Work of Art, he has stated many things about what is uh, work of art. He tried to talk about it in terms of being, existence, and truth. Some terms there are really complicated. It's not easy to read, but when you will understand, you will be very happy. It might really, even one sentence might really change your view and your perspective. And I propose you this book to start, and later you can find new things about it. So let's talk a little about the inspiration and elements from the beginning to the end. What is really inspiration? Because I'm often asked, what is my inspiration? Actually, inspiration is everything that you like, everything that you don't like, the things that surround you, where you live, in a city or in a countryside, everything it's around you is inspiring to you, even if you don't know it. Uh, But it's up to you to decide which way you will go, what you will use, so that you will unfold your creativity. It doesn't really matter what it can be anything. Nobody will judge you or tell anything about what's the theme he is working about. They may say about your artistic way of doing things also, which doesn't really matter. You should do yourself whatever you feel like, and actually not really listen to other people. So don't be shy. Don't be shy to present yourself. Work with yourself. And for example, my inspiration is I'm in general, I think arts are somehow connected with existence. In Paul Klee, the painter here that I show you, was a really inspirational artist for me. He was a modernist. He was teaching in the Bauhaus Academy in Germany, a very important school, which many things that we see now is actually because of the school. They influence very much modernist and everything that is happening now. And this artist is also very influential. He's not so famous like Picasso, but I think he's of such magnitude for me. And especially this work, which it's one face with two different faces actually, and the broken symmetry that you see, the colors, it's everything that I love about it. And uh, Klee was a teacher at this school, as I said, and he was trying to make scientific findings and research about composition that we will talk right now, and the colors, the depth of the colors, the theory of colors. He's also a guy that you could search on the internet and find about his lessons. It's another example for me that a guy I never met, he died before I was born, of course, that has an influence. And there's this dialogue between uh, me and him, I suppose. And those were his research with colors and the depth of it. Another guy who is very interesting, if you want to go very much in depth with the colors, was Johannes Itten. He was also a teacher at the Bauhaus School. So let's see now another element of the artistic creation, because when you're creating and you have your surface, you have some specific elements. You have lines, you have shapes, you have colors, you have textures, you have value, you have form, you have space. All those elements, you try to combine them somehow in several ways, so that it is interesting as a result. So the first thing actually you see in a piece of work is actually this configuration, this composition. So one way of dealing with it is symmetry. So in this works, for example, you can see how I use symmetry. The symmetry is an axis in either vertical, it can be diagonal, it can be horizontal, it doesn't matter. And if it's vertical, for example, there's the left side and the right side, and they are symmetrical. It's like our face. So I use it a lot, this configuration, but I use it more in a broken way. That means that the one side is not totally identical to the other. Only maybe in the middle work I've used it more or less, because this work is called Understanding, and I try to show the balance that it needs and the equality that needs for a balance. So it is a little different, but it's in the same amount. And besides symmetry, there is of course asymmetry. There is no axis, and things are configured in a different way. I really believe that Claire will help you with compositions. The more you study, the more you understand that the weight of things inside, because you're trying to balance things. Unless you're not, but this is had to be said from the beginning that I want an unbalanced configuration, an unbalanced way of showing things, because with this, I will try to achieve this. So if you have a plan for this, it's perfectly okay to do anything. But if you want somebody to look at it and feel the balance of things happening, you need to find a way to configure, you need to balance those things. Another famous way of dealing with composition is the golden ratio, which has been used from ancient Greeks. It's been used by many artists. I have used it myself as well. And there is the logic is that you divide a surface into about 2/3, and then the big one that is left, you also divide it, and you also divide, and you also divide. So you come to this kind of configuration, and you can use your main point of focus of interest in this position where it's more dense, for example, or you can use other forms that you like the horizon that you see on the Serra work. You can study this. You can find on the internet a lot of paradigms about this. So here I will try to present you some of my work and how I deal with this. On the left, you can see a file that is created on the 3D Max. I'll show you in a while how I work with this file. And on the right, you can see the final rendering. Rendering we call the final image that comes out from 3D. And you can see also here some stages of how I work. So on the left, right, you can see on the upper left, sorry, you can see the beginning of it and how it goes by time. And down right, you can see the final image. So in this work, for example, I have used the configuration. It's not symmetrical exactly. It's got some kind, but it's with the lines that it's on the background, which have been projected also on the figures. I try to combine them. So let's see the 3ds Max. I use 3ds Max in 3D. There are many softwares that you can use, and 3ds Max is one of them. You can use Cinema 4D. You can use Maya. You can use many other software if you want. So the first thing that we see, there are many buttons. This is true in those programs. There are many buttons, many configurations, but you shouldn't be afraid if you want to start with this and get into this, because you will not use all of them. And there are many of them because you can do a lot of things here. Actually, you can do so many things that it's less time than the things that you can do. So it's a different approach that, like painting, because I paint also, especially in this period. It's totally different medium. Every medium has its own way of logic, its own way of creating. And 3D is very inspirational for me. When I don't have ideas, which is, it happens sometimes, I just open 3ds Max and I start to play. Actually, 3D and art in general is a game. You play with this. You are like a child. And we have 4, this is the main thing, that you have 4 windows, and the 3 windows, the 2 up and the left one, the left down one, are actually orthographic projector, which is the top. As we see the scene from the top, as we see it in front, and as we see it on the left or on the right, we can configure them so we can see them how we like. And the down right one is the camera that will render the final image. Actually, we can turn this to a 3D so that you can see how the scene looks. So this is the scene. The yellow things that you see here are the lights. There are also black ones, which I don't know if you see, but they are closed. They are switched off lights, because I'm experimenting a lot with the lighting design there. And the logic of 3D is that it's trying to imitate the world, actually. It's trying to imitate the world with textures, with the models, the matter, with the lights. Everything is based on reality, but then you can change it into non-realistic if you like. You can do so many things, actually. And when you have set everything, you have your scene ready, you have your materials. This is a material editor. Here we play with the materials. Each one of the spheres, it's a different material that's been used or not. Some are not used on the models. On the left here, it's a panel which we use for editing the models and editing the animations. The timeline here that you see is used for animation because 3D is used for animation as well. And animation video is actually it's a sequence of still images like this one that you see, with each one that has a difference in something. That's something like a hand moves or the whole scene moves, and by a fraction of a time, and we use mainly 25 frames per second. That means in 1 second there are 25 different frames, so that it's smooth on the eye. We can see the result of an animation. And this is a paradigm. It will show. This is a paradigm of animations. So that I have very simple animations. I create very simple animations. So I will try to make a poll for you. How do you work with design? So you can answer if you like. So which stage are you? Are you work professional with design? Design is a hobby for you. I'm just starting with design. I'm interested in design, but I haven't started. So if you like, tell me your voice. So I think that we're very much equal here. We found a balance, more or less. It's 1/4 for everybody. That is very interesting, and hopefully, what I can make you and can help you here is to make you love this thing. It's really the adventure of art. It's really an unbelievable experience. So if you are, for those who are interested into getting into digital design, either 3D or 2D with Photoshop or painting with a computer, first of all, you need hardware, and this is the configuration that I use on my own. First of all, you need a monitor. You need a computer. You need a printer, for example. I use them to create prints so that I sell them. A Wacom pen is very nice if you want to paint. But the most important for me is the monitor, actually, because the monitor is for your eyes. It protects your eyes. It's what you see. It's very important. I have reviewed this model of BenQ. It's the PD27 100U. It's a professional monitor with a very good price. I have a review on the internet. You can search for it. And with 3D, you will need a more faster computer because it needs power. It needs memory. It needs fast processors. Uh, so those are the digital tools that we use. I have to tell you that I'm painting now because the digital creation, if you are 20 years and many hours in front of your computer, can become very tiring. Another way of creating art also is create something on your 2D program or 3D and have an image like the image above. And this has been projected on this is a wall which was painted later. And this is a technique that's been used many years. Also, Picasso has said that he has used projector in painting. Also, the German painter Richter, which is one of my favorite, has done it. And I have for you some BenQ's projector that you can look up. I don't have one now, but in the past I have used it. I had one, but I'm thinking of buying. I'm thinking of buying the left one, but I will make research in depth more. For example, I created those two about 20 years ago, I think, with projecting images. So this is I told you that I create 3D and then I create a digital file that it's a photography actually. So my art, it's got many things. It got sculpture because there is sculpture. I'm in 3D space. As you saw, I can see from many points. It's got also video elements because if you go to animation, it's got lighting design, so it's got photography also. We've got a camera inside 3D. So, but the last thing, the output is actually a print in my case. And my originals, the artworks that go to the galleries, etc. It's a print that is called the ASEC. It's a print that it's mounted on a D-bond that you see the backside on the top. It's aluminium sandwich with a hanging system. And on top there is the print, the plexiglass with a specific glue. which gives much depth to the artwork. They are very nice to look at. The most expensive photography that was ever sold was the ASEC. And this is how it looks like from unboxing it. You can choose to have also a not reflective plexiglass, but it's much more expensive. It's an expensive technique to create. So it needs also 3 weeks for the glue to dry for the artwork. It's also quite heavy. And this again, you see some exhibitions with my DSX. So now, whatever you choose to work on any kind of visual design, those principles are, I think, universal in a way. There's this personal thing that you need to work on with yourself a lot, and developing yourself will guide your art, and vice versa. It works both ways. And there is also, as I said, the universal thing, how you can make and reach more people. Of course, if you are into fine arts, like with galleries and stuff, I propose you to take part in competitions. This is how I started, actually, as I said. And I have won some competition. Others I didn't win. It's okay. You know, in this adventure, there'll be a lot of frustrations also. And of course, as an artist, you will have your spaces on the internet. You will have your Facebook page, your Instagram page. You can have Behance page. You can have ArtStation page. You can on Google. You can find any way how to promote your art. There are so many articles, so very interesting. Search which is the best for you, because it depends also on the media that you have chosen. It's different for architecture. It's different for fine arts, for painting. There are differences there, but you can take many answers with this on the internet. If you use this, when you use the social media, try to be active as much as you can. Give people your details of your work. Describe a little how you work. Feel free to be yourself. And so, as I said from the beginning, the most important is to work. You have to work a lot, and you can choose 3D design. You can choose 2D design. By the way, we have another question for you, another poll. When you are editing your work, with what you're working, from the for those who work on the 3D things or 2D on the computers. So is it a professional monitor design? Is it a regular home monitor, or is it a laptop? Okay, so I see that most of you, 61%, is using laptop. I used to have a laptop too, but laptop is very nice when you are moving a lot, etc., etc. But it's not the best to see your work if you're visual, because the colors, it matters. The size also matters. You know, it's I have the prints which I have in A2 also form, and with my monitor I can rotate the image, and I can see almost the size of it. It's really helpful. So when you have the chance to go into more desktop configuration, I would say that you do it. So more advice is that I think that it will be important for you and interesting. I said it before, don't be embarrassed. You are showing yourself. Nobody can tell you that if what you did here is not yourself. It's you are the only one to know if this is you or not. So tell your story. It's what this is about art, I think. You're showing things with your own eyes. uh, Claire, the artist, has told that the artist is a trunk, and he takes from the ground, and he is a trunk that takes all those essence and making the leaves, the flowers, the fruits. uh, so don't be shy about it. And any critique actually is very welcome. It might help you, it might not. You will decide which will help you and which will not. You're totally alone, and uh, you are you are the guide of this thing. Now about about the meaning of art and meaning of artworks. I don't think it's actually about understanding or even skills, because skills is also a tool. You can become a great in drawing, but maybe you want to have you become yourself in this drawing. Maybe yes, maybe not. It's again you who will tell this. But there are so many different kind of ways of expressing yourself. Pollock, for example, he couldn't paint realistically, and he is one of the most famous artists in the world. It's We're living in a period, very fascinating period. There are many informations now, and let's see how also the future of art might be. I think that the digital thing will go more and more. It's the most fast evolving mediums that we have now. 3D is also very a lot of things are changing in 3D also. I've seen so many changes from the beginning till now, and we are entering a period where computers will be used more and more, and with the coming of virtual reality, there'll be even more and more, and there'll be a lot of impact on the society. So there'll be a lot of impact also on the arts, because as we said, art is very much correlated with life. And all those changes that we are living right now, even the pandemic is kind of a change. It has turned out people to work from home. I've seen a very nice webinar on by BenQ by a guy who explains what you will need to create your own home studio. You can learn a lot of things about from the internet. And when I was starting, there wasn't the internet the way that it is now. So uh, this period has a lot of positive and a lot of negative, but try to be positive, try to take everything that is good for you, try to uh, send away anything that you feel that it distracts you from creating, from being you, and trying to find ways that will make you work, because only through working, from experimenting, you'll find your own voice and your own way of projecting things, and you will also change through this, you yourself, and it's so much correlated. So it's not so much about understanding, as I said, or mastery. It's about doing, and it's about experience. And all art comes from love, and the love for doing something. If you love doing it, if you get in love with this, you will become actually an artist. There'll be a need for you to express yourself, and it won't really matter if many people will follow you. If you are persistent, many people will follow you. I'm pretty sure about this, and I never thought I would become an artist. I never planned either. I thought that I will become nothing. I didn't know what I would become. Actually, I was kind of worried about it. But I found this 3D. This 3D was inspirational for me. Of course, I had already said that I like the arts in general. I was already studying, but I wasn't in the path as I wanted to do. I have a last question for you, for those who work on 3D. just out of curiosity, for those who know 3D and are working in 3D, which one you prefer? You prefer the 2D or the 3D way of working? Okay, so more prefer 3D. For me, both are very interesting. It's not a matter of a better medium or something like this. There's no better or good or bad. There are actually, I don't think that those definitions actually apply to arts. It's and I repeat it again. It's about your voice. It's about your trace in this life and this existence. And I've showed you artworks which were created 26,000 years ago. Can you imagine this date? And we have this dialogue with it. You never know if somebody in the future will be influenced by you, and you never know if in the next 2-3 years you become a famous artist. I've seen artists to be famous in 1 year. And in these ages that we live through the internet, you can become very fast, and you can become very fast, from being famous, not famous. So it needs persistent. It needs love. It needs you have to become a little this. It has to come to your blood in a way. And I'll close this because sometimes, one of the things that many artists are working, they don't know where to stop. And the best answer that I got, and I totally agree with that, it was when Jackson Pollock was interviewed once, and he was asked about this and how do you know that an artwork is finished? How do you know when you're finished with a painting? And Jackson Pollock said, "How do you know when you're finished making love?" So this is it, more or less, about those topics. I think that I hope actually that I could help you. It's not we don't have much time. We have the question and answers soon now. So prepare your questions. You can actually already start typing it. You can ask me anything you like. I will try to answer it, and I will be glad to do it. So please start if you have any questions. Don't be shy. So the first question is, which software do I use for rendering? Well, this is actually a 3D guy's talk. All the rendering software are perfect now, unless you become a very specialist in rendering. So you can choose. You will know by then. I use V-Ray. I use Corona render. I've used. Oh, it was my passion actually, the rendering in the 3D. So I used Mental Ray at the time. It's not the case anymore. It doesn't exist, I think. I've used renderers which many of them don't exist anymore. But I had a feeling about V-Ray, and which is actually dominator now in the industry. But any render is very good. All the 3D programs, especially the high end, are really good now. Really good now. And when you become more advanced, you will know, because you have worked on it and you have searched, which one to follow. Uh, I don't know. The question is, wait a second, I need to make because some questions are big. So I need to open. I cannot recommend you any classes or YouTube video. It's something that you really need to search for yourself. It's part of the game because there are millions of them. You have the first question that you have to ask: what I'm interested in. And when you find a keyword, key elements for your answer, you just put also on the Google this, that I want this, etc. So what is a routine in a visual artist's life? Well, I can tell only about my life. So the good thing about, and I think this is the most important, beside the need to express and stuff, is the freedom. And I have managed to wake up anytime I like, to work anytime I want. But don't think that I wake up like too late. Actually, I wake up too late because I work a lot in the night. But I have to say that I work a lot. I have pressed myself into working a lot. Other people who are working in a company, for example, which the principles that I told you, they imply also on the working for a commission for a company, because okay, it's a different frame of working than the one that I do, but uh, what they will need from you as an artist are those principles. They have taken about the things that you know, that you have worked on, either technical or conceptual or any kind of. Do you believe in that studying in university is a crucial step for becoming an artist? Well, any kind of education is good, but I don't think it's crucial anymore, because it's good if you can do it. Because one other thing with university, you be with people who are also interested in the same thing, and you can get along with them and talk about those things and what you're interested in. And uh, but if it's crucial, it's not. I think more and more artists which are becoming famous are not actually with a degree. And there are many, like Mauricio Catalan with the banana guy. He has not studied at all, but he has studied in his own way. So he has developed his abilities in his own ways. So being an artist, it's also finding your own way. I've told you, it's really important to understand this. In my belief, of course, you can disagree. You're perfectly free to do this. And if Wacom pad is essential to me, no, because I don't paint actually on the computer. I paint with from my lately I'm painting from photography and from my works, from my 3D. So 3D now is becoming like a sketch for a painting, and I'm painting right now with a canvas. That I have a canvas on the art, on the sketch on 3D, or a photo or something that I create in Photoshop. And then I have a canvas on the surface that I will work. So it's easier, it's just easier but with the projector that I've showed you, it's easier to have a contour. So so if you're after this, but you can also implement a work that I just look and paint, or I work from my mind. It's not a matter of creating a head that looks totally the same. It's as Pollock again saying, it's now the art is from within. Before it was looking at nature and trying to depict what I see and this kind of beauty, and now it's from within because photography came and took this part of the work, and 3D now you can project something that doesn't exist actually. And this is something that I like in 3D, that you don't work actually with material, you work with pixels. It's nothing. And by the way, it's digital format. It can be open in the same exact way from a device in 20,000 million years. If there's a device that can read this, and the artwork will be the same. So we have a lot of questions. I'll try to answer them all, but let's see. Can you write exactly the name of the softwares that you use? I cannot write down now, but it's easy just to Google things. I'll be telling you this because you need to start to search Google, because there's a lot of things that you will find from the internet. Actually, from the internet, you can find almost everything now. So it's also essential to be an artist of yourself, because art projects the time of its age. So we are artists of 2020. We are in this age. And the artists that were before, they were showing their society, their way of working. The guy who's painting on the cave is painting the what he saw. So we need to be. You don't have to be the best in searching. It's not. You don't have to be professional. You need to find your way towards this. It's not that difficult. It needs some time. You need to dedicate this time. But I use 3ds Max. You can use Cinema 4D Blender, which is free on the internet. I use Dash 3D from the figures, the human figures that I use. But there are other also. You just write down on Google 3D figures, humans, and you'll find it. How do you normally work with modeling? Do you start from scratch? No, I start from scratch from any other element except from the humans. But I edit them a lot because it's a starting point for me, the configuration of the pose. And the humans, you know, it's a symbol for me. It's a symbol of humanity, and most of the works are about relations, human relations, or relations, as I said, inside you. Sometimes there are forces which are one is totally different from the other, and they fight inside you. And at least this happens in me. And I added the models inside 3ds Max, which is a platform actually. And all the environment that I work, it's always from scratch. I do with many things. You will see. But when I first created my first chair and table, and put a light with no global illumination, which is a term for light going to a surface and bouncing and giving more light to the scene. The renders now are so advanced. They are so advanced. You can do perfect. If you look for architecture visualization, you can see architecture which is 3D, and you won't believe that this is not a photo now. And you can do it. How long does it take to learn 3D software to apply your idea to 3D? Well, it depends on the person, of course, how much time he'll dedicate to this, and how much he's willing to start this. But the time now is right. There are many tutorials on YouTube that you just write 3D for beginners, or Maya for beginners, 3ds Max for beginners, the software that you if you're a total beginner and you ask me which one I will start now, I will start probably with Cinema 4D, which I don't know them, but I have read and seen around, or Blender. Cinema 3D has a lot of tutorials, and it has a big community of people who help each other. It's a good tool. It's all of them are good tool, a great tool. I use 3ds Max because I started at that time, and I have a sentimental to this. It's a very steady piece of software. It's really great. But I would calculate that in a year or two, you can make really artworks which you won't believe if you could go to the future. You can do very fast things in 3D. It's a very fast medium. You just need to get familiar with the interface, with a lot of buttons. But I tell you, don't be afraid with this. The success of something is to not be afraid, actually. Apart from competitions, do you recommend any other way to jump into exhibitions? There are many exhibitions that you can take part. You need to show them their works, and they will accept you. The group exhibitions. You can start with many. There are so many exhibitions right now, and now because of pandemics, there are many online exhibitions. You can find them. There are a lot of them. You can. There are some sites that can send you emails about new competitions or new artists wanted, as they are called. Get in touch with galleries. Get in touch. Send them if you believe you have a good amount of work and uh, you think that you could show your work, send them. You never know. I never knew that. When I sent, the first time to the competition, I never thought I would win. I would win, but it happened, and I won again and again. So don't be a critic of your work. You just be yourself. Don't be a critic of yourself. Let the others do it. I think uh, who was it? I think it was Warhol said that. Uh, while the other people talk about if what you do is art, you create more art, and this is also true. Do you need to look for some clients to be able to live now, like working for brands, etc.? Well, it helps, of course. It depends also how you want to set up your career. What is your main point? If you want to become like an artist, for example, like me, that his main work is to create artworks and sell them through galleries, through your own website. Now I believe that it's a changing time. We're in a turning point of the society, but it takes along with it all the activities, so artistic activities as well. And I predict that many galleries will close because they cannot go to this, and they see that the galleries through the internet are working, and I'm selling my artworks, the originals also, which are more expensive, and people without seeing it, they can buy it. Of course, I give to them the ability, if they don't like, they can send it back in the same, um, of course, state that it was sent, no damage. But it's not easy to make money, especially with art, especially in the beginning. It's not easy, but with persistence, you can do it. I really believe it. It happened to me, it happened to millions of others. And we are living in a time when art is very much consumed. We have the most artists that ever existed. Of course, we have the more people that ever existed. And we have the more biggest audience also. The audience is very big now. You're talking to the whole of the world now. And you're talking with a language with everybody understand. How do you discipline yourself at work, especially in the beginning? I guess you mean how to start, and you had your goal and you said, I'm going I will become an artist. You just take the a decision, and then when you have made the decision, you have made a very big step, and then you'll find a way, and you need to push yourself. It's not that easy because it sounds, oh, you can wake up anytime you like. It's not the case. You can stop becoming an artist as with the means of getting money if you start working, right? If you stop working, you need to be an active artist. And let's say I don't like this kind of, but the less good active artist has more success than a very good one artist which doesn't make works. So how much time do you usually spend with each 3D piece? I was asked this on Instagram, I think, the other day, and how much I sent an artwork, and he asked me how much time did it take to me. So I give two answers. I said 47 years or 3 days. Uh, in terms of creating it, it took 3 days. But I had the idea, I had sketches in my head, because I mainly have the sketches in my head, but sometimes I use a pencil and I create some ideas. But to get to this artwork, it needs the time that you have lived. Everything that you have lived is kind of crucial inside what you might not see it, but it's there. That's why I said to you that be true. Try to be true with your work. It's not a matter of ugly or beautiful. It's a matter of how you said it. In terms of inspiration, do you follow a process for new ideas? Where do you find inspiration? Inspiration, for me, like I said that everything it can be, but the relations are very inspiring to me. I always remember myself looking at people. You know, an artist is an observer as well. It's part of being an artist. You observe the world, you observe nature, you observe what's going on in your society. I observe politics as well. uh, Everything is important, and but women for me are very inspirational. I find the symbol of women, the mother, the partner, the friend, it's very inspirational, and it's an idea that I develop in my work. um, the future itself, it's inspiring because the future is something to come, but the shape of it will be by the people who have imagined it, you know, and gain more and more people to follow their ideas, and they have become inspiration to others. Don't be sad if other steal your ideas. It's actually an honor for you. Nobody actually can steal your ideas because your artwork is you. It's like somebody imitating you. Well, for how long they can imitate you? Not for long. um, I think that those are the main questions and answers. There's one more. How do you normally work with model? Do you start from scratch? No, I think I said about that. No, I work directly in the 3D. And sometimes really I have an idea and it turns out totally different, in a different way that I thought about it. But it's interesting. I'll tell you, it's a game. And I will close with this. I will tell you that it's your universe, this art thing that when you're creating, it's your own universe. And in this, uh, it's hard to invite others, except from the final work, which is a very good thing to invite others to your universe. But you're alone there. You're free. There is no gravity. There is no problems. There are no illness, probably. All there is, if you choose to have to be, because you want to talk about it, about your experience. And I, I will say this again, and I'll close with this. And thanking you for coming here and listening to my perspective. Uh, I will say this again, that I think you can make it. If you really want it, you can make it. You can even make it very good, more good than you can believe. You can become, maybe some of you are really the top one artist of the future here. I really hope so. But it's really a matter also of luck, you know, but working and working and working, you know, makes your chances to succeed more true to happen, right? And I really think that if you manage to get in touch with yourself, but educating yourself and developing yourself is actually the key to being an artist. Now, for the details of it, you will always have the intern, you will always have other people, other artists. You can ask me. Sometimes when I have the time, you know, I answer the questions on my media, and I try, because this is also the answer of art, as I said, communication. So thank you for being here. It's a pleasure, and it's a pleasure for you looking at my work. I will look at your work if you want me to. It's if I have the time. Sometimes I don't answer because that means I don't have the time. Actually, it's not that I don't like something. And this especially this time is very limited for me. I have a moving also. I moved to a new house. So thank you very much. Don't forget to follow the news on my social media, also BenQ. We want to thank BenQ for the effort that they do for the artists. I believe that this is really an honest piece of attempt to help the artists. Look at the other webinars. I'm especially from a beginner point of view, you will find for sure something interesting. And look for the products. My monitor is BenQ monitor, and I'm really happy about it. So thank you very much again, and see you. Bye bye.